The United States entered World War I in 1917 after nearly 3 years of official neutrality because a combination of economic interests, security threats, diplomatic provocations, and shifting public opinion made continued non-involvement impossible, and the consequences of that decision reshaped both America and the world. When war broke out in Europe in 1914, President Woodrow Wilson declared neutrality, reflecting America's tradition of avoiding European conflicts and the reality that the U.S. population was deeply divided, with many citizens having ethnic ties to either the Allied powers, Britain, France, Russia, or the Central Powers, Germany and Austria-Hungary. However, neutrality proved difficult to maintain in practice. Economically, the United States became increasingly tied to the Allies, selling them massive amounts of food, raw materials, and weapons, while American banks issued large loans to Britain and France, creating a strong financial incentive for an Allied victory. Germany viewed this trade as a violation of neutrality and responded with unrestricted submarine warfare, using U-boats to attack ships in the Atlantic, including those carrying neutral American passengers and goods. The sinking of the British passenger liner Lusitania in 1915, which killed 128 Americans, shocked the U.S. public and raised fears about German aggression. Although Wilson still resisted war and secured temporary German promises to limit submarine attacks. Meanwhile, the war dragged on, casualties mounted, and Wilson increasingly framed the conflict as a moral struggle between democracy and militarism, especially as reports of German brutality in occupied Europe circulated widely in American media. The decisive turning point came in early 1917, when Germany resumed unrestricted submarine warfare, calculating that it could defeat Britain before the United States could mobilize. Almost simultaneously, British intelligence intercepted and shared the Zimmermann telegram, a secret German message proposing a military alliance with Mexico if the U.S. entered the war, promising Mexico the return of lost territories such as Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico. The publication of this telegram outraged Americans and made the threat feel direct and immediate. Faced with attacks on American ships, economic stakes in Allied survival, and what appeared to be a direct challenge to U.S. sovereignty, Wilson asked Congress for a declaration of war in April 1917, arguing that America must fight to make the world safe for democracy. Once involved, the United States rapidly mobilized its economy and society for total war, instituting a military draft, expanding industrial production, and coordinating transportation, food supply, and labor under federal direction. Although American forces, known as the American Expeditionary Forces under General John J. Pershing, arrived in Europe relatively late, their fresh troops and resources played a critical role in breaking the stalemate on the Western Front in 1918. Boosting Allied morale and helping to force Germany to seek an armistice in November 1918. After the war, the United States emerged as a major world power, economically stronger than its European allies, which were devastated by years of fighting. President Wilson sought to shape the post-war order through his 14 points, calling for self-determination, free trade, open diplomacy, and the creation of the League of Nations to prevent future wars. However, the Treaty of Versailles that ended the war imposed harsh penalties on Germany, including territorial losses, military restrictions, and heavy reparations, which many historians later argue contributed to political instability and the rise of Nazism. At home, the war had profound effects. The federal government expanded its power, women gained momentum towards suffrage, African Americans migrated north for industrial jobs, and civil liberties were restricted through laws like the Espionage and Sedition Acts, which punished dissent. Despite Wilson's vision of international leadership, the U.S. Senate rejected membership in the League of Nations, reflecting a return to isolationist sentiment and distrust of foreign entanglements. In the years that followed, America retreated from direct involvement in European politics while remaining deeply influential economically. And the unresolved tensions and flawed peace settlement of World War I set the stage for global instability and, ultimately, World War II.